What's up everyone, my name is Jake and I'm going to be giving a little beginner's guide to learning how to fly one of these guys in FPV. This is an xhover blaster. It's a ready to fly kit. I'm going to get a lot of hate for that, but I bought it pre-built. So this whole video is just kind of from personal experience, but I wanted to fly FPVs because DJI drones just weren't doing it for me anymore. They're flying slow, people are used to it, everyone has them. They're like $500 for a Mavic Mini, and with these, you can fly 90 miles an hour over trees, and you look kind of cool, look kind of nerdy, but it's very fun. There's a few things every beginner goes through when they're deciding whether or not to buy an FPV. Step number one for me was, after researching for a month, I decided to buy a ready-to-fly kit rather than building my own. A lot of people say to build your own in case you crash it, so you know how to rebuild it, because you're going to crash. Inevitably, you're going to crash. My philosophy kind of was, I'm going to buy a pre-built one. If I crash, then I'm going to learn how to fix it from there. But why I chose to buy a pre-built one otherwise is, when you do buy a pre-built one, you know you're getting a good product. You know it's going to fly right away. It's been tested. And on top of that, it's usually going to be sturdier. The components are going to be held together better. So if you do crash it, it's more likely it's going to survive the crash. So after researching for months, I decided to go with it out of this company out of Florida called xhover, and they built this blaster for me, sent it to me. It was a lot of money, but from personal experience, I'm glad I went with this, because very first flight, took off, took my goggles off because I got scared that I was flying it right back towards me, and then I was lost. It was in the middle of the air, flipped upside down, and spiraled, crashed straight into the side of a creek bank. Kind of rushed down there, and it seemed like it was all right. So if you want to buy a kit that's ready to fly, don't let all the haters get to you. I mean, it's worked out for me so far. I got some sweet footage. I haven't broken the drone completely yet, and it's been flying for a few months now without much of a problem. The second thing I had to decide is whether I wanted to go with the DJI FPV kit, which is a digital kit, or an analog kit. There's a few differences between the two. The DJI is obviously, first off, way more expensive. I haven't actually flown an analog system, but the DJI has been really good for me. The quality is really good in the goggles. So now you finally made your decision. You got DJI or analog. What do you want to do when the drone finally comes to you? You're going to want to take it out of the box, put the goggles on, get the batteries charging, and go fly right away, but I don't recommend doing that. There are plenty of simulators online that you can use with a Mac, PC. I think you can get some for the PS4 and Xbox One. And the one I used was the Liftoff Flight Simulator. You use your actual flight controller. I started with the PS4 controller, but I got about 20 hours of practice in on that. And to be honest, they're pretty good. It's like almost like you're actually flying it. So don't go out and break your drone right away. Get in the simulator and get some hours on that before you just take out your new drone and fly it around. Another thing that I would recommend doing before you actually fly is getting into beta flight and learning how to program auto level into it. It's pretty easy. What auto level is going to do is you flip one of the switches on, and like a DJI drone, how it won't go like this, if you flip that switch on, it's going to go like this and it's going to stay level. A lot of people discourage against auto flight or auto level because you don't get the smooth, cool cinematic look that you want out of an FPV. But I'm not recommending you fly with it constantly. To start out, I found it a lot easier to turn auto level on when I'm taking off and when I'm landing. Now I actually find it harder to land and take off if I have that on. But as a beginner, you don't want to lose control and end up putting it in the ditch right away, putting it on concrete and breaking your drone. And finally, now that you've burned a bunch of batteries and you're getting good, you're confident with it, you can fly over tree lines, you can kind of dive and you're not worried you're going to smash into the ground, you want to start getting a cinematic look with it, and you're going to need a GoPro for this. You can use either a GoPro 6, a 7, an 8. I would recommend at least a 6, all the way up to the 9, but something that's going to match modern quality video-wise. But the number one thing you're going to want to use is Real Steady Go. What Real Steady Go does is it analyzes your GoPro's gyro and then crops and stabilizes your GoPro. And I think that does it. I mean, it definitely does, provably better stabilization than the built-in stabilization in the GoPro. I'm going to be going over more GoPro settings and ND filters I would recommend for your GoPros to get that cinematic look with your FPV. That's going to be in my next video. So if you found this useful, please hit that like button, subscribe, and see you back next time. Thank you.